thingy.
But then the problem is then what do they do? They go, oh, okay, well, we'll lower your taxes.
I'm a hugger, so.
Oh, by the way, your taxes valued at $250,000 now because of all the woods. Yeah, of course. They could just drive.
Now you all know what each other looks like in real life.
Yes.
All right, good evening, everyone. We will call the Plan Commission to order, and I will ask staff to take a quick roll.
Now, Brian had a question. Are we on YouTube live?
We will be.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Eventually.
There we go.
Now we call it to order. And now we ask for a roll.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Devine.
Here.
Brian Frank.
Here.
Kathleen Degenhardt.
Here.
Jessica Katzmeyer.
Here.
Amanda Nowak.
Here.
Rossi Manka.
Here.
David Roshka.
Here.
Eric Torgelson.
Here.
Wayne Clark.
Yes.
We've got 7 present and the mayor, so we have a quorum.
Great. All right, next item is approval of the minutes from our May 26th meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any changes or adjustments to the minutes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. And we will now move on to item D, which will bring up item 2A, 2B.
Sure. We can take these together if the Plan Commission desires. This is a proposed parking lot, which is proposed for an area on the east side of South 102nd Street, which is more or less an office area with an office building to the south of the proposed lot and a medical surgical clinic to the north. The Holiday Inn Express on the intersection of 102nd and Lincoln is the far north part of that image. The lot is undeveloped. It's currently a grass lot sandwiched in between 2 office uses, and there will be cross-access between the new parking lot for 53 spaces. A stormwater management plan has been submitted, and the intent here is that it's owned by Cobalt Partners, who owns one of the buildings in the area, and they are going to be negotiated an agreement to provide overflow parking for both the office building as well as the medical clinic to the north. There will be cross-access between the 2 sites internally on the site. The site itself doesn't offer a driveway onto 102nd Street, so all drive access will be from either the office building to the south or from the medical surgical clinic to the north. And as indicated in the upper right-hand section, there is a bioswale proposed as part of the stormwater management practice. They are disturbing about 19,000 square feet of land area for the paved surface, and all of the water, the surface runoff, will drain from east on the 894 side to the west on the 102nd Street side and into a bioswale. And there are overflow tubes built into the swale, so that in a large storm event, if the swale itself can't hold the property and actually allow that to percolate or attenuate on site, there is then an overflow tube which directs it to the city stormwater back to Lake Michigan. So, but the best practice is to keep the water in this watershed here on site as long as possible and let it stay here. So. So our recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report. We do have a public hearing scheduled for the 13th of July. Otherwise, we're really looking for our city forester's feedback on the landscaping plan that's been submitted, and then just the sign off from our friends at Milwaukee Metro Sewage District and DNR.
I'd move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion or any questions on the item? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. On to item 3.
Yes, sir. This is a site at 6048 Beloit, and This is Phoenix Investors. Beth, I'm sorry, Jessica. Beth is here with us tonight. She represents the ownership of the property, Phoenix Investors. They're a new owner to this site. It was formerly owned by Able Equipment Services, which was a warehouse distribution type of business, and they occupied the site for probably the better part of 20, maybe probably pushing 30 some years. And it's a 2-acre property. It's zoned M1, which is light industrial. Phoenix is looking at rehabbing the overall site. In fact, there's a considerable amount of graffiti on the back side of the site just from kind of years of sitting there, more or less unoccupied. The overall site is primarily paved. They are going to be introducing some site and landscaping, which we'll get into on the property, as well as painting the overall building. The exterior of the building right now is kind of a combination of cement block and painted surfaces. So that's going to be freshened up and cleaned up with 2 different gray tones, gray, darker gray, light gray, and a white color on the exterior of the building. If you've ever passed by I think it used to be like a J.C. Penney outlet on 894 in like Burleigh, near the Mayfair Collection. That building is one that I think you guys have rehabbed and renovated, and given it a new look on the outside. So that's sort of the model, the game plan for this building as well. The building is about 46,000 square feet, and Phoenix is interested in occupying about 30,000 square feet of that, and then the other 16,000 square feet or so would be for a future tenant. That would be the gray area on the upper right. The site does feature loading docks, loading overhead doors on the south elevation as well as on the east elevation within that parking area, that section on the southeast corner of the site. And so this is the proposed overall site and landscaping plan. The property along the fronts for a portion of Beloit Road, and then another portion of it fronts the Union Pacific Railway. There is a section of the building that also fronts 62nd Street, which is a dead-end street. It runs, if you ever come off of Burnham Street, go out to see Unit Drop Forge. It's a sort of a dead-end street that runs right into the railroad. So that's the context of this property. Our municipal yards is also just a stone's throw, actually just across on the south side of the tracks. And there's an RSR trucking company to the east of this site. So the proposal here that's been submitted that we've worked with Phoenix on is to add some additional landscaping, basically updating some of the existing landscaping areas as well as proposing some additional landscaping along parallel to the railroad tracks. And then behind the building, to the west of the building and then north of the building, that area will also be cleaned up and the grass green space area along that area. There is a new proposed 8-foot high chain link fence around the property. It will be set back. It's a blue line that runs around the property. It's going to be set back from Beloit Road about 20 feet. And that will allow not only some staging as one pulls into the site. It'll be a gated entrance, so you can stage there while you wait for the gate to open or close, and so that will alleviate some of the traffic concerns with backups on Beloit Road. It'll also allow for some visibility to the landscaping on the site. There is a refuse enclosure proposed. That's the purple square that you see in the lower portion of that. That's going to be screened from view, again, within a fenced area as well as some landscaping around it. I guess the whole idea is just to improve the curb appeal of the site. There has been some clearing of landscaping, some of the volunteer growth that grows up along the railroad corridor. That was probably lending a helping hand to hiding a lot of the shenanigans that were going on the southwest side of the building with graffiti and so on. But that's all been cleaned up with the allowance of the railroad. And the intent here is just sort of freshen up the curb appeal, clean it up, resurface the site, and then restripe the parking stalls. They're going to be adding a landscaping island at one of the end caps and new landscaping. Just a closer view. One of the staff recommendations was to add some add an offset to the fence, so the fence would act as a backdrop to the landscaping. That's just what that blue line is showing. Phoenix is in agreement with that, so that will take place. One of the other parts of this is that we were asking for some additional landscaping elements in your staff report. They instead added additional landscaping because of some truck turning radius concerns as you enter the site and then back up to the loading dock on the upper part of the building there. That landscaping island to them presented an obstacle, and so they've added additional landscaping along parallel to the railroad, and they'll add additional landscaping infill within that area along Beloit Road as well. They've added the landscaping island at the end cap of those 2 rows of parking that come together alongside the building. And this is just a representation of the dumpster screening. The purple area will be screened from view with some landscaping as well as an 8-foot high tall fence. On the exterior architecture, what's happening now is that the building is being tuck pointed, new doors, and some replacement windows are being added to the building. But largely the exterior of the building will be repainted from its current look. I guess there's going to be before and after pictures here. We'll just go through that. On the south elevation, this is facing the railroad and partially some of Beloit Road. The upper picture is the existing, and the lower is proposed. And another southern elevation facing Beloit. This is set back from Beloit, but one of the loading dock areas. Top is existing, bottom is proposed. And then on the west elevation of the building facing 62nd Street. And the north facing the unit drop forge parking lot. The upper is existing, bottom is proposed. So, and then another portion of the north elevation. So our recommendation is for approval. A few things that I'd like to just update the Planning Commission on. It's a little bit of a change from what we had laid out in the recommendation. So we were asking for 4 landscaping areas to be added to the site. Those 4 things have been changed. So we have, instead of 4 distinct landscaping islands that were shown in your staff report, what we have here is an elongated section of landscaping along parallel to the railroad with 1 landscaping island. And on the, just move down here, on part B, we were asking for a black vinyl coated chain link fence or similar being provided around the perimeter of the site. And the applicant has looked into that, was open to that idea. They'd like to use that, have black vinyl coated as more of an option than a requirement. They had an estimate on the cost of what they're prepared for. A galvanized fence is about $29,000 for the extent of the fencing they have to do, and about for another 30%, or about $42,000 is the cost of a vinyl coated chain link fence. So there is a definite 30% increase in cost. So they're asking for the option to do black vinyl coated fence, but they don't want it to be a requirement. Aside from that, one of the things too with the fencing, if we were to put more emphasis in aesthetics for this property, I think the landscaping component is probably the more important feature to emphasize versus the fencing. And making the fence more of a backdrop to the landscaping, I think, is important, and that will help hide the fence somewhat and then enhance the landscape area in front of it. And then part D, relocating the 30-yard dumpsters on site away from Beloit Road. That was it was indicated, but I guess given their the loading dock of the overhead doors that they have on site, there's 2 on the east elevation and 1 on the south elevation of the building. It does make it problematic to access those, given the turning radiuses and access points in the building. So they are pulling things in and out of the building for their property management business, and with the future tenant not being known, it does represent somewhat of a problem if those dumpsters are located in a manner that's going to obstruct the ins and outs of the building for trucking. So they're asking for it to be located as stated on the in the front of the site along Beloit Road, which would be landscaped and would be screened within a fenced area. So those are the conditions of approval. Pat is here for that. Are there any questions?
Could you go back, I'm sorry, 2 slides, I think?
Sure.
No, the one of the exterior,
Oh, okay.
and like those windows would stay covered up.
Yeah, these are. on the 62nd Street side of the building, that dead-end street. The side of the building right now is pretty well tagged, I guess, with graffiti.
Okay.
It is somewhat of a end of the street area. It's not really
Visible.
It's not really
There, that's the
visible.
one I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah.
And I can't, I mean, I don't know the,
Oh, sure.
but it looks so, I think it would
Sure.
look so neat if it was, those windows were opened up.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. The arched windows with the soldier coursing over the top and the
Yeah.
sill underneath. It is a nice look. It does.
I'm sure it's not cheap.
Right.
This is used for storage, though, right? Is that what this is basically going to be used for a storage facility, or?
Predominantly, yeah. It's our maintenance facility. We have a maintenance crew, and so that's our maintenance shop, if you will.
Gotcha.
So there's limited, fabrication type things going on if they're building something for a roof or to do a repair.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's predominantly storage. And we expect the tenant incoming would likely be storage as well. The windows that you're referring to, just so you know, that's along that back side in the parking lot. Those were all blocked in when we purchased the building.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and with the amount of vandalism and stuff we've had, it would be a challenge to put windows back.
And that was the other thing I was thinking of, too.
Yeah. If it were facing a main street, I might push a little harder for it, but.
Yeah. But
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other?
I had a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Steve, what are you showing in this? What's this pink box on the left side of the building?
Oh, here. This is an existing metal storage, detached storage building on the west side of the building.
Oh, okay.
And it is detached from the building, but it functions as a storage shed. They do, one of the reasons why, I mean, there isn't any landscaping proposed here, so they are using this for, moving things in and out, and they need
Sure, okay.
access to this area. So,
Thank you. And then you had a note there on the signage, which I assume is adjacent to the drive.
yeah.
Is that coming in as a separate submittal, I assume, or?
That's going to be, they will be a separate submittal. They are proposing to reface the sign and rehab it. So it's going to be refurbished.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Steve, you indicated that the applicant is asking for the option of $42,000 versus a $29,000 fence. And since they're asking for that, it would suggest that they want to stay at the lower cost, and that's what we'll end up with. Your focus is on the landscaping.
Yeah.
Yet as a city, we continue to do a pretty mediocre job of following up on landscaping issues. And if we just take a ride down the street here to Lincoln and Highway 100, you can see the overgrowth. All of that, not all of it, but much of that landscaping is gone for naught. It looks terrible. And we don't do anything about it. Therefore, I'd rather see the fence fixed at $42,000 if that's a better fence, a better looking fence, and forego some of the landscaping because it doesn't get dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, the private property is, ultimately, it's the property owner's responsibility. Unfortunately, we have some property owners that don't maintain their landscaping. They run their business and they forget about the aesthetic. So, and we do have, Erin Scharf of our department does help and does have a list of properties that she is following up on. But she's one person. She's out there, and we're looking at main corridors. But then again, there's weeds grow fast. So. And summer's short, so yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Even this year.
Yeah.
Any other discussion, questions?
Yeah.
Move approval.
Oh,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
was going to say something. What is the possibility of just coating the access gate and then the remaining fence line to be galvanized?
Oh, like focusing on the street
Right,
frontage
just the
of Floyd?
access, yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an option or is that...
I guess I just don't know how that would look. I guess, like I said, we're not opposed to the black fence, but with the price differential and availability, it's a challenge at the moment. And if you go all the way up and down Hoyt Road or all around where we're at, everyone has galvanized. So it just seems, to your point, to make more with the landscaping. I guess I'll offer this up, that the landscaping, we hire a contractor and we contract for it. And if you've ever been by the old Penny's building up there, you've always seen it landscaped and groomed, and it's not, ill-maintained or abandoned by any means. So, I mean, I'm happy to commit that, because our owner wouldn't tolerate it either, is to be honest with you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have it, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we will,
It's been fun to transition.
It's gonna look great.
it needed a transition. Was item 4.
Thank you, Mayor. This next item is to rezone the former Baker Square property at 10200 West National Avenue from C4 Regional Commercial District to Community Commercial C3 District. So this does fall in line with the future land use plan, and the real purpose of this downzoning is to help us be proactive in avoiding non-desirable uses like an auto dealership, for example, or check cashing, terminals, pawn shop, those stores. This wouldn't be affecting any of their prospective tenants. They have a veterinarian use that's interested in the space, and that does fall within the C3 district. This proposal is sponsored by Alderman Haas and Alderman Ranke. Staff recommends Plan Commission approval.
This looks like needs a motion to approve.
You are correct.
I'll motion that.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to item 5, where we get to approve something with the root of all evil. Who's taking this one?
I got it. So we've got Scott and Tanner here, who are representing the proposal for a haunted house and lots of other activities at this space. So they're proposing to occupy the former Michael's store at 11135 West National Avenue, and they are proposing to have a temporary haunted house. This would be a short run. Unless it does well, and maybe this can potentially become a permanent thing at this location or elsewhere. It's in the C4 Regional Commercial District, and their use is a place of assembly of 15 or more people, and that's a special use. They'll be having a public hearing July 13th if all goes well. So the operations, they have an indoor and outdoor portion. Indoors, they'll have a haunted house, an escape room, paintball gallery, football, bowling, farm, video games, and I think human foosball as well. Outdoor, they'll have food trucks, axe throwing, and a merchandise truck. They're proposing to open for 21 days between September 24th and November 16th, so right around Halloween time.
Cool.
From Thursday to Sunday, 6 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So they would allow the last group to enter the haunted house at around midnight. It takes about a half hour to get through. They hope to employ up to 40 employees, and their estimated project cost is $100,000. Throughout this process, they have had a strong emphasis on safety, so that they plan to hire off-duty police officers. They're going to have metal detectors and video surveillance. And as far as their plans go, they're not proposing any landscaping. Staff believes that this property is well landscaped. And they will be adding a temporary outdoor fence, and that'll take up about 20 parking spaces right in front of the building. And within there, they'll have some games, food trucks, merchandise, and some portable restrooms, and I think some picnic benches as well. That's an image of the type of fencing they'll be using. And the fence will be moved at the end of every night to allow passage along that drive in front of the stores so that vehicles can move through. And also, in case there's any emergency, they can easily move the fence out of the way. So far as their architectural plan, they're not proposing any changes to the exterior of the building, but I just thought I'd throw in a couple images that they've shared. That's the axe throwing truck on the left, and then that's one of the food facilities that they'll have on site. As far as parking goes, they have 107 parking spaces available once you subtract those 20 spots. And the parking code asks for 200 spots based on the size of the building. However, they've been consulting with a consultant that specializes in these types of businesses, and they make the claim that most vehicles show up with an average of 3.4 occupants. So that would definitely help with their parking needs. They are also seeking support from Home Depot next door. They have a little bit of an overlap with their hours, but for the most part, they wouldn't really be in each other's space. And we were also talking about how could they control people parking over there. You know, maybe with their off-duty police officers, they can do a little bit of patrolling. But if they have Home Depot's blessing, then all the better. And as you all know, Common Council may modify the off-street parking requirement. This is a look at their floor plan, so 20,000 square foot space. The front part will have all those activities, the football, bowling, human foosball, giant pong. And then on the east part, that's where you'll have the queue for the haunted house. And then the rear part, of course, is the haunted house, which is accessible via all of the emergency exits. And it takes about 25 minutes to walk through, and it's 8,400 square feet. Here's a sneak peek at the haunted house floor plan itself. So they have these closets throughout where the performers will be hiding, ready to give you a good scare. And there's plenty of emergency exits throughout, just in case anything were to go wrong. Staff recommends approval subject to the following. We'd like to see details and proof of contract with security services. We'd also like to see a confirmation of any shared parking arrangements with Home Depot or any other businesses. We'd like to see plans to indicate trash and recyclable containers on the site and any waste hauler removal services contract. And we'd also like to see them reconfigure their handicap ADA parking, and a scope of work to detail the date when the removal of fencing and other items will be removed from the site after the event is completed.
Wayne and then Brian.
Mr. Mayor, Steve and company, has the applicant agreed to these conditions?
Yes. Yeah.
And what brings this to us, given that this site has been used for the Halloween store, whatever that's called, for the last couple of years? Is it because this extends out into the parking lot? Or what's the difference?
So the use is a place of assembly. So whenever we have 15 or more people gathering in one space, that calls for a special use permit.
And the Halloween store, I think, sometimes has hundreds of people.
It's a change. It's considered a change in use where from a retail store to a what they call a place of assembly, where it's like a theater type of.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Not exactly a theater, but it's
All right, thank you.
Costumed.
Got it. Thank you.
It's not selling stuff, it's just
Right.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Is this just for 21 days?
Yeah, so we'll be operating from September 24th to November 7th on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the last two weekends right before Halloween we'll operate on the 2 Thursdays.
On the 2 Thursdays, okay.
Just for the demand of it in the season. Usually people working during the week, they won't attend haunted houses, so the weekends being our busiest time.
I'd move approval. I'm sorry.
Is the axe throwing part of it separate from?
So with that image that was on there, that's our we'll have an axe throwing trailer that will have 2 lanes. So there'll be steps to go up top on a trailer, and the lanes will be fenced in. So one person will be in each lane at one time, but they'll be safe from any axes or any kickback.
It's fully enclosed.
Yeah.
Do they sign like a liability warrant?
So everybody that will come on our property will sign a waiver.
Okay, 'cause
with all the games
I've
that we
seen those.
offer, bowling, giant farm,
Okay.
axe throwing will all be covered.
Very, very popular.
I
Excellent. Yeah.
So my question is, will the off-duty officers help control with crowds outside as well too, with potential noise volumes? Because I see that you're planning to be open to 12:30 in the morning, and that's just a potential concern that I have if there's.
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
one of the different concerns that we have addressed as well. Understanding that there are apartment buildings on there, and we will have communications, we will have radio communications with officers and our other staff to make sure we don't want any disruptions. We visited about 57 haunted houses this year, just touring and seeing what they all had, and we've seen a lot of mistakes in ways that we should correct it, because we don't want to come into your city and be a problem. We want to come into the city and put on a great show. I mean, it's all about entertainment. So, but also on the back end, it needs to be safe and it needs to make sense for everybody. So that is one thing that we're definitely will address. And if anyone does have a concern, if we do operate, please feel to reach one of us, and we'll address that situation, because I don't want to be a burden.
Thank
So
you.
what, can I ask what, and I'm sorry if I missed this, and I'm sorry, 1 sec. What age are you hoping to attract?
I mean, it'll be a very variety of ages, from probably 13 to 80.
Okay.
But we will mostly get that, I would say, the 15 to 35, but all types will, especially offering, we're trying to do something a little different than just a haunted house. Somebody might not like a haunted house, but they might like axe throwing or an escape room or giant foosball. So we want to make sure the whole family can go there and spend the time.
Thank you. David?
Do you have plans for like daily cleanup? I mean, I think you guys mentioned porta potties being there, and my concern would be we've got this big fenced area, and it's like a festival setting, right? And it's just, what's it going to look like on the next morning every day, or how, is there a way to screen the porta potties, or is there, I guess just the appearance of it from people driving by or people that aren't using it, just what it looks like.
Absolutely. So I've reached out to Stop and Go, which will be our porta potty supplier out there.
Okay.
They will clean the porta potties weekly. We'll also be contact waste management, and I just got to wait to make sure we get all approval to give them. But we'll have a dumpster out there, and since we will have food, we'll have garbage cans that will be taken out nightly, and probably during the event as well, hourly. We'll put them in a bin, get them out of there, just so the smell and stuff like that.
Sure.
We don't want to be messy as well.
And you're not serving alcohol?
We were looking to serve beer.
Beer?
Cans and tums.
We can't apply for the license till after the common council meeting. And there is a dumpster area back, fully fenced in, so
Okay.
that's already there.
It's probably not a good idea for the younger crowd.
What's that?
Well, so everybody that will come in they'll have to show their ID, and we'll have a wristband that they can drink beer. And then our bartenders will also be warned to only give 2
Sure.
beers per person.
It's like a weekly church festival, but for 3 weeks. I mean, is that what?
And scarier.
Huh? and scarier, yes. Yes.
I love your logo, by the way. I love your logo, by the way.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you. Good luck.
Sounds kind of cool. It's going to be fun. I don't like getting scared, but it does sound cool.
Picture.
I know. I was like, I'm all for everything with the haunted house.
Right? Sit there and throw axes. All right, we'll move on to item 6.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 2700 block of South Waukesha Road, we have a certified survey map proposed. So they're proposing to split 2 parcels from 1 lot into 2 lots. And this is within an RA1 single-family residential district. The prospective buyers want to split this and then have a home on each lot. That's basically what it looks like. There's the actual certified survey map, and then there's a look from our own web map.
Is that the lot that's been for sale for a long time?
I don't know. Has it been?
I think so. Yes.
I think we looked at that like 18 years ago.
This seems to make sense. I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay.
And I can't read, but is that they have access easement, I assume, because you can't
That's
get to
right.
lot 1?
Yeah, they have the access easement right.
Okay.
Who owns the adjacent lot that touches
There
that
is a
line?
home here.
There's a home. Okay.
Yeah, okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll move on to item 7. Carrie's Crispies.
So you may recall about this time last year, actually I think it was in July, they came here for another sign plan appeal for that existing sign that you see right there with the logo. And they're coming back to us now for another sign plan appeal to add some branding elements all around the building on 3 sides of it. So these are some artistic elements and directional signage, and the sign code only permits up to 2 wall signs, and this building gets a maximum square footage of 60 square feet of signage. So it max out with this current sign, which is about 58 square feet, which is why we need a sign plan appeal. So here are the other sides, the east and west facades. We have some directional signage. People know that that is not the front door, that they should walk around. Another one that says, this is the front door. And they kind of have their process on how to make the Rice Krispie treats up above their main entrance.
That's cool.
That is very cool.
I like that.
As long as you've certified that it's a creative sign, I'd move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion or question? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. And then we'll go to item 8.
Is our last item?
It is.
All right, so this one's for the Dollar General store at 1715 South 76th Street. So they're proposing an exterior change. They had some failing brick, which triggered a code violation letter, and they have to fix it with some metal siding. However, adding that metal siding required building permits and plan commission approval, so the city put a stop order. So now they're here. They were given the option to either remove the metal siding or apply for site landscape and architectural plan. So this is what it looks like. You can see what the failing brick looks like here, and you can see the wood that they started laying out to extend the metal siding over, and it's kind of halfway done right now because we cut them halfway through. So this is what the metal siding looks like. Here it is extended about 2/3 of the way across. And here's a look at just the front of the store.
Mr. Mayor, let's make this easy on everybody and approve the denial. I make the motion that we deny as the commission, as the planning department has recommended.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, the motion is denied. Just rip the Band-Aid right off, don't you?
You taught me that.
When you get home.
Just give them the nod.
Are they playing today?
Yes.
7:30?
Yeah. Wait, this is.
Game 1 of the
Oh,
finals.
right. Okay.
You don't want to watch Game 7 of the
They're
7.
down in the.
I watched Game 6. Didn't watch Game 7.
Don't watch Game 7. It's worse than Game 6. It's kept your blood pressure all the way up to literally the last second.
Does anybody want to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning?
Thank you.
Anyone opposed to adjourning? Ayes have it, we're adjourned. Thanks.